Problem numbers 62 and 64, we're asked to solve the equation by using the quadratic formula. So I'm assuming that we can't factor. I'm hoping we can't factor here. So we're going to subtract 6x. We're also going to add 9 to both sides. So if we, oh man, we can factor. So x squared minus 6x plus 9 equals 0 because those cancel and those cancel. We could do x minus 3x minus 3. So since it says to use the quadratic formula, we're going to go ahead and do that. If you see that instruction on the test, you can be sure that you'll have to use the quadratic formula. But anyway, a is 1, b is negative 6, and c is 9. And therefore, when we put these numbers into our quadratic formula, really helpful to write out the quadratic formula, sing the song, whatever it takes. But get that quadratic formula written down. The b value is negative 6, and then plus or minus b squared. So negative 6 squared minus 4 times 1 times 9. And we get over 2 times a, which is 2 times 1. And so once we get to here, now it's just simplifying. The opposite of negative 6 is 6, and then plus or minus, and we have negative 6 squared is 36, minus 4 times 9 is 36. So we're only going to get one solution, and because this is 6 plus or minus 0 over 2, which is 6 over 2, which is just 3. So we only have one solution, and you may remember me saying you always get two solutions when you solve a quadratic. But what happens is this is called a root, a solution. It's a double root, and what that really means is that the x-intercept is 3, and we're going to study that a little bit more here in the near future. It's called a double root. It's actually 3, x minus 3, x minus 3, but it's when you solve the equation, you get x equals 3, you get it twice, x equals 3. So you do get two solutions, but in this case they happen to be the same. Again, it's called a double root. Don't be too alarmed about that. But it's what happens when the discriminant, the b squared minus 4ac, is equal to 0. The plus or minus goes away, and it yields just one x value. So writing it the fancy way, x equals 3 is the only solution to that equation. You know, when there's two solutions, it means the graph of the function, the corresponding function, crosses the x-axis twice, and when there's no real solutions, it means that the parabola never crosses the x-axis. So that's how that works. I think I could probably squeeze in number 64 in the same video, so let's go ahead and do that. Solving an equation by using the quadratic formula, 5x squared minus 7x minus 3 equals 0. I'm not even going to try to factor it. Maybe it does factor. 5, 3, no, it doesn't look like it factors. So finally we have one that doesn't factor. And we're going to list our a, our b, and our c, and we're going to plug those into the quadratic formula. The a value is the number in front of the x squared. Now again, it has to be in standard form, which this is, and then we can get our a, our b, and our c. b is negative 7 and c is negative 3. We have our quadratic formula. I'll say it. I'm not going to write it again, but I'm going to say it. X equals negative b, b being negative 7, plus or minus the square root of b squared, 49, minus negative 7 squared, minus 4 times a, which is 5, times c, which is negative 3. And then we have all over, let's see, all over 2 times a, which is 5. 49 plus, okay. And then we have the opposite of negative 7. We're going to just simplify. Again, once you get all the numbers in there, then it's just a matter of simplifying correctly. Take your time, just like I keep saying. The opposite of negative 7 is positive 7. And then make sure you have a lot of room. Don't try to cram all this stuff in. That's when mistakes get made. And then negative 7 squared is 49. Now notice here, we have a minus sign there and a negative sign there. So we're going to take negative 4 and we're going to multiply it ultimately by 5 and then by negative 3. So notice the two negatives. That means that the result of this stuff over here is going to be plus something. 4 times 5 is 20. 20 times 3 is 60. So we get a 60 over there. It's a 49 plus 60, and then 2 times 5 is 10. So we have 7 plus or minus, and then the square root of 49 plus 60 is 109, and over 10. Now I'm looking at that 109. So I always check to see, do 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then maybe all the way out to 13. So no way is it going to be divisible by an even number. This is kind of the process I go through. Is it divisible by 3? Well, 9 plus 1 is 10. 10 is not divisible by 3. It is not divisible by 9 then, so if it's not divisible by 3, it's certainly not divisible by 9. And then 5 doesn't go into it because it doesn't end in a 0 or a 5. 10 doesn't go into it, we already said that. 7, does 7 go into 109? 109, 7 times 1 is 7 and 39. 7 doesn't go into 39. 11 doesn't go into it because I know that 11 times 10 is 110. And then 13, does 13 go into it? 13 times 8, that's 104. Is that 104? 24? Yeah, 104. 8 times 13 is 104. So if 13 goes into 104, it doesn't go into 109. So if I go all the way out to 13 and I'm not finding any factors of that, then I'm pretty sure it doesn't have a factor. So I can be then done. I'm done with the problem. 7 plus or minus, radical 109 all over 10.